We've been looking for you.
Yeah, you've got a lot of explaining to do.
What are you talking about? I haven't done anything wrong.
Actually, my spell of locate big bad evil guy led us right to you. You can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Screw that, I'm out of here.
The hard way it is.
Get 'em, boys.
I hate running in these robes. Welcome to the DM Lair. I'm Luke Hart, and I have been a Dungeon Master since high school. On this channel, I give practical Dungeon Master advice that you can implement at your table. Now, I want to be straight up with you. The rules in the Dungeon Master Guide for running chase scenes, while they do a pretty good job of realistically emulating a chase scene, are rather complicated. Now, the problem with complicated rules for chase scenes is that in a typical Dungeons & Dragons game, chase scenes don't happen all that often. So when a chase scene does happen, if you have complicated rules, you're going to spend quite a bit of time looking those rules up and trying to remember how they work again. And that bogs down the game and breaks immersion. So my preference for chase scene rules are to have rules that are easier to remember and simpler to implement at your game. Furthermore, I really want to see more of an opportunity to roleplay during a chase scene, not just simply following some rules and rolling dice to see how everything turns out. I want my players to be able to think creatively in a chase scene, just as they would in any other part of the game. And that's one area that I think the chase rules in the DMG kind of fall a little flat.
Hey, you gonna tell us what it is already, or are you just gonna keep blabbering about it?
Run your chase as a skill challenge, and here's how you do it. First step is to select a static DC based upon the level of your party and how challenging you want the chase to be. At low levels, you might select a DC of about 12. At mid levels, 15 or a little bit higher than that might be adequate. And certainly at higher levels, we're talking about a DC of 20 or above. And using the intro of this video as an example, I'm going to show you how running a chase scene as a skill challenge would play out. When the rogue takes off and the barbarian, fighter, and wizard begin pursuing, ask the barbarian to declare what he's going to do to try to catch the rogue. The barbarian decides to sprint hard, so she makes an athletics check. Her athletics check is higher than the DC you chose, so she closes on the rogue. You ask the fighter what he does, and he decides to also sprint after the rogue. His athletic check surpasses the DC, so he also closes on their quarry. The wizard decides to blast firebolts after the rogue to slow him down. He makes an arcana check, surpasses the DC, so he closes on the rogue as well. In the next round, the barbarian cannot use the same skill, athletics, that she used before, so she chooses to hurl threats as she chases after the rogue. The barbarian makes an intimidation check, passes the DC, and closes on the rogue. The fighter calls out to people in the crowd standing nearby to get them to help, and makes a persuasion check. Unfortunately, his check is lower than the DC, so he falls behind. The wizard tries sprinting in his robes, fails his athletics check, and also falls behind. And this same pattern continues. When a character accumulates 3 failures, he's out of the chase. When a character accumulates 3 successes, she's caught up to the person fleeing, and the chase ends. If all of the players accumulate 3 failures, then the quarry gets away and the chase ends. Now in our example, the barbarian caught up to the rogue, so the chase ends. At this point, things can proceed either in combat rounds or not, at the DM's discretion. Now, our barbarian wants to murder the rogue, so we jump into combat rounds. As the combat progresses, the other characters arrive on the scene depending on how many failures they had accumulated. The wizard only had 2 failures and thus arrives on round 3. The fighter had 3 failures and arrives on round 4. But that's just one way to do it. There's an even simpler way.
But first, I just want to thank all of my lovely patrons for helping me choose this video topic. My patrons get lots of cool perks, and the first one is that I don't murder them in their sleep.
Well, maybe he won't, but I sure will.
So, if you're interested in becoming a patron, check out the link down in the description.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if I condone this messaging, but anyway, you can make the chase scene even simpler by running the skill challenge for the group as a whole instead of character by character. Have each character decide what they're doing to try to catch their quarry. Then each character makes a skill check that is appropriate for their action. If the party as a whole makes 3 successful skill checks, then they have caught up to the quarry and you can play things out from there. If the party doesn't have at least 3 successful checks, then the quarry has escaped. Now, some things to keep in mind as you play a chase scene out at your table. First, make sure that you are narrating events as they unfold. You want to make the chase scene exciting for your players. Don't let it just turn into a matter of rolling dice and checking totals. And bear in mind, if you're using these alternate rules that I'm proposing, you're not actually focusing on running a realistic chase scene. The goal with these rules is to have rules that are easier to remember and rules that encourage more role-playing from your players. Because I have a pretty good idea right now that there are probably a whole bunch of you thinking through the rules I gave at the very beginning of the video and thinking, those aren't very realistic at all. That's not at all how a chase scene would actually play out. I mean, if my wizard shot a fireball at the fleeing person, that would do some damage and maybe kill him, not cause the wizard to catch up and get closer to him. And I get that, believe me, I do. So please just leave your gripes down in the comments like normal. And if you have an alternative way of running chase scenes at your games, then please let me know about it down in the comments. Are you interested in learning ways to spice up the traps in your game? If so, smash that playlist right there. And until next time,
I gotta learn how to run faster. Getting caught by a barbarian is embarrassing.